When I was a child, very first thing that my mom told me was not to even whisper because the birds and mice could hear me. If somebody say one wrong thing, it kills entire 3 generations of that family. There was no internet, one channel on TV.
What were the subjects you guys took in school?
Even like learning math was like, there are 4 American bastards. You kill 2 of them. Then how many American bastards left to care? We don't play with the Barbie dolls. We play with tanks. Even kids have to go see the public execution.
My mind, my imagination, I just went there, so for me it's tough to kind of come back. But painful stuff you talk about that doesn't sound real to the average person.
If you see the satellite photo, North Korea is literally the darkest place on earth. And in the posters, how American looked like was green eyes and humongous nose.
So in America, the government makes money through taxes. How does North Korea make money?
North Korea is not a poor country. They sell drugs, they sell missiles, they steal a lot of money through hacking, they sell their people. China has a responsibility to protect us, but they capture us negotiating our price like dogs. There is no dignity, there is no freedom for us in China.
The only way to get anything done with North Korea is to get things done with China.
This regime kept this going for over 70 years. Do you know how many North Korean defectors right now in America? Over 70 years of time? 200.
My guest today has, I would say, the most interesting story we've ever had on Value Tim. You'll find out here in a minute why. Her name is Yeonmi Park. She wrote a book called In Order to Live. She escaped North Korea at 13 years old, found her way to China, eventually South Korea, eventually Dublin, U.S., all over the place, and she's now resides in U.S. She gave a talk back in 2014 at the One Young World in Dublin, which within 2 days, her 8-minute talk got 50 million views. Let me say this one more time. 50 million views in 2 days. And from there, she's been a phenomenon because she's given us, the world, a glimpse of what it really is like to live in North Korea, not from what MSNBC tells us, not from what CNN tells us, not from what Fox tells us, her point of view of what it was like living there for 13 years. And so with that being said, Yeonmi Park, thank you so much for being a guest on Valuetainment.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a real honor to be on your show.
It's great to have you. So, Yeonmi, let's go back. For those of us who have never visited North Korea, all we've seen is the videos. All we've seen is, we've read about it. We've seen articles about it. We've seen different things about it. What was it like for you growing up in North Korea?
Yeah, so I think that was almost like the biggest challenge for me to talk about my experience in North Korea is that sometimes I felt like it's even easier to explain about Mars or the moon to Americans than North Korea. Like North Korea is a country that has so many pieces, right? The life that Kim Jong-un, the dictator, has is absolutely different from the people's lives that I had and my friends had. So I think today I am only going to talk about the people who are not in that privileged, 1% class, but the majority of North Koreans, how they are actually surviving every day. I think it's just almost like unimaginable. Everyday life is a struggle. In North Korea, when I was growing up, there were even no words for depression. Or even stress. So as I growing up as a child, when I came to South Korea, they told me like stress is like very big, cause for something. Depression is the like big main cause for suicide. And I was like, what is that? And you don't know what stress is? Like what? You don't know what depression is? And in North Korea, the regime didn't put that word in the dictionary for us. So, imagine that in socialist paradise, how can you possibly stressed? How can you be possibly depressed? But in our real life is a struggle, but we just don't know how to put those like concepts into words. I think, when I was a child, very first thing that my mom told me was not to even whisper because the birds and mice could hear me. And as a young girl, the first thing I learned is that the most dangerous thing in my body that I got is my tongue. What if I slip some wrong word? That is not gonna only kill me. That is not gonna only kill my family. It is going to kill 3 generations of my family. If somebody say one wrong thing, political statement, it's not gonna just kill that person. It kills entire 3 generations of that family. And that is like, so in that sense, I never knew what, freedom of speech was. I somehow thought that's how normal world was, because there was no internet. Obviously, I never heard the word internet in North Korea. There is only one channel on TV, 24 hours, that is telling us how wonderful the socialist paradise is and how bad our American bastards enemies are. And I remember when I came to America, going to Walmart and going to see this section of magazines, right? They have living magazine, fashion magazine, cook magazine. I never seen any kind of magazine in North Korea. I never seen a cookbook. I never heard of what modeling was. There's no fashion magazine. The regime, the government telling us what to wear.